Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland, the slightly chilly crew. What is it, 45 out there? Going down to 37. The folks in Maine are saying down to 37. Gee, they'd love to see it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. It is, I forgot the date, 20th of something, November. And we got Thanksgiving dinner here for anybody who wants to come. 1 o'clock. You ready, Anthony? You ready?
Call ahead, yes.
Call ahead. Let us know how many.
Yes.
Yeah, you've already killed the turkey? And
Yes.
okay, praise God. Tonight we're going to do a small segment of a response to Mr. R. Nelson, who has still not proved his name is Aaron Ra. He claims it is, but you prove it is, and then we'll call you Aaron Ra if you'd like, after the Egyptian hawk god or whatever that is. Anyway, so I'm going to play just a brief clip here of him and then go through and give some comments. So if you'd like to join us, this is round, well, technically it's supposed to be the last round. He's supposed to give his 3 best evidences. I gave a response to all of that. Took 7 broadcasts, and then he was supposed to give a response to that, and this is part of it here, and I couldn't believe it's only 53 minutes, Mr. Nelson, and half of it's from some lawyer speaking, totally unrelated to the topic. So I think that's called padding or filler. Students do that when they don't really have a good answer. They talk a lot in their essays, you know, so because they don't have an answer at all. So I think that's what it is. Okay, so hang on. This is going to be short, and then I'll give my part of my response. Okay, you ready? Let's see.
So the pseudoscience charlatan Kent Hovind challenged me to a debate in a format creationists seldom use because they can't win. Usually they do live debates where you can't check their citations on the fly. And it's always been my experience that whenever creationists cite scientific research, they're either not peer-reviewed or they don't actually say what the believer says they do. I'll put a couple links below to prove that. But this is a video exchange debate where every assertion and its source can be examined and evaluated before posting a reply, and consequently, lie. The Gish Gallop doesn't work in this format, but Hovind still tried it anyway. The first round of this debate began with 10 minutes of introductory commentary, but only about 9.5 minutes of actual debate, wherein I answered all of Hovind's questions. His response, however, came in the form of 5 episodes, averaging 42 minutes of his video for every 5 minutes of mine, adding up to 3.5 hours of total talk time, during which he accused me of having diarrhea of the mouth.
Did I really? Okay, Alt-Tab.
If the shoe fits.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't hold what he
So,
said in your hand.
let's go through this slowly, Mr. Nelson. So the pseudo-scientist charlatan Kent Hovind challenged me to a debate. I don't skip a word of what you say, Mr. Nelson. You skipped a whole bunch of my stuff and said you answered all my questions. Yeah, right. Okay. Challenged me to a debate in a format creationists seldom use because they can't win. Well, pseudo means false or fake. Not really so, false, not genuine, resembling or imitating, okay? Pseudo. We're talking about real journalists, not the pseudo kind in this example here. Pseudoscience is a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method, from Wikipedia, okay? Pseudoscience describes any belief system or methodology which tries to gain legitimacy by wearing the trappings of science, but fails to abide by the rigorous methodology and standards of evidence that are the marks of true science. Oh, like claiming elephants and whales are related. Huh? You talk about pseudoscience, evolution fits it to a T. That's the pseudoscience. Look at this. Humans and whales are related, and the lizards and birds, we're all related. Wow. This is pseudoscience par excellence. What is science? Science is the concerted human effort to understand, or to understand better, the history of the natural world and how the natural world works, with observable physical evidence as the basis of that understanding. You get that? Science is based on observation. Short definition of science. I blew it up here. Systematic knowledge of the physical or material world gained through observation and experimentation. Where's the observation and experimentation of any animal producing any other kind of animal? Where's the observation? This is science, okay? Textbook says, Earth has changed much since its formation 4.5 billion years ago. That's not a scientific statement. That's pseudoscience, okay? Nobody saw that. Since its formation 4.5 billion years ago, Earth has changed. Life, too, has evolved on Earth. Well, now, Mr. Nelson, this debate is supposed to be about the 3 best evidences for evolution. Let's define that word. I know you don't like this, but too bad, okay? The word evolution has many meanings, only one of which is actually scientific. Cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, matter, the Big Bang, is not scientific. No observation, no experimentation, no testing. It is pseudoscience, okay? The Big Bang is pseudoscience. Then you have to have chemical evolution. This is part of the theory. There are 92 naturally occurring elements, and the synthetic ones, that even if the Big Bang Theory were true, they say it would only produce hydrogen, helium, maybe deuterium and lithium. How do you get all these 92 elements? They say, well, fusion takes place. Well, you can't fuse past iron. They say, yeah, you can. If you get enough stars to explode near each other, it'll produce the energy required to fuse past iron. Oh, so you got to lose a bunch of stars to gain one? Okay, you should run for Congress. Help those guys borrow their way out of debt. Thirdly, is going to be stellar and planetary evolution. Nobody has ever seen a star form. Nobody. Or a planet. They've never seen one form. So since science deals with observation and experimentation, it is pseudoscience to say stars have formed. The silent embarrassment of modern astrophysics is we do not know how a single one of these stars managed to form. The origin of stars represents one of the most fundamental unsolved problems of contemporary astrophysics. No one understands how star formation proceeds. It's really remarkable. It is pseudoscience to say stars form. It would be science to say stars blow up. We've seen novas and supernovas. Stars blow up occasionally, but that's the opposite of a star forming. Exact opposite. Number 4, there's going to have to be organic evolution. Life has to start from non-living material. It is pseudoscience. It is not supported by observation, experimentation, or testing to say life can start from non-living material. One atheist I debated said, Hovind, what are you going to say if scientists ever produce life in the lab? I said, well, first of all, I would point out they're absolutely nowhere close to making life in the lab. Nowhere close. He said, well, yeah, you're right. I said, but if a bunch of scientists spend a bunch of money and produce life in the lab, I guess that would prove it takes intelligence to make life, wouldn't it? Right. It is pseudoscience, Mr. Nelson, to say life came from non-living material. Now, I know you believe that, but that's your religion, not science. Nobody knows how a mixture of lifeless chemicals spontaneously organize themselves into the first living cell. Primordial soup from Wikipedia. Primordial soup is a term introduced by the Soviet biologist Alexander Oparin. In 1924, he proposed a theory of the origin of life on Earth through the transformation during gradual chemical evolution. You guys say the first 5 are not part of evolution. Yes, they are. From Wikipedia. Chemical evolution of particles that contain carbon in the primordial soup. Number 5, you have to have what's called macroevolution, where you change from one kind of animal to another. Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. It is pseudoscience to say dogs are related to anything other than dog kind. And you believe, Mr. Nelson, and you would say it clearly, you believe dogs and pine trees are related because they're both eukaryotes. That, sir, is pseudoscience. Notice the smile, okay? You may get a big dog or a little dog, but you're going to get a dog every time, and most of the variant dogs that they get wouldn't survive in nature. You got to babysit them now to keep them alive, keep the hawk from carrying off the chihuahua. I tell the kids in my seminar, okay, I get a 5-year-old. Here we have a dog, a wolf, a coyote, and a banana. Which one is not like the others? I've only had one kid ever miss it. He said the boy. Good point. Okay. Bible says they will bring forth after their kind. Now that is science. They bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody's ever seen. It's observable. You can do it in an experiment. Crossbreed some dogs and see what you get. Plant some corn, see what grows. It'll be corn. Okay? There are simply no exceptions. Science, observation, testing, experimentation says this is correct. Now, Charlie Darwin wrote a book and called it Origin of Species, tried to change the word from kind to species, like you do to change it from kind to clade. Okay? Species. Number 6 is microevolution, variations within the kind. Now, this one happens. These first 5 are pseudoscience. False, fake, phony, pretending to be science, using all the big words and the trappings of science, but no observation, no experimentation for any of those. If there is, please show it. I would like to see it. We got lots more on this on video number 4 of our series, The Lies in the Textbooks. Get the whole series, $50, 18 hours, plus one of the debates I did against 3 professors. Pseudoscience describes any belief system or methodology which tries to gain legitimacy. That's these first 5. They're trying to gain legitimacy. Watch this now. By wearing the trappings of science, but fails to abide by the rigorous methodology and standards of evidence. Where's the evidence for any of these? Where's the beef? It is pseudoscience, Mr. Nelson. You're accusing me of being a pseudoscientist. And standards of evidence that are the marks of true science. True science says dogs produce dogs, cows produce cows, no exceptions. Cats produce cats. Now, you may get a variety of colors, you may get some differences in your cats, but they're going to be a cat. And a 3-year-old can tell you it's a cat. Abby, who's 2, knows a cat when she sees one. Science, a branch of knowledge or study dealing with a body of facts or truths systematically arranged and showing the operation of general laws. Okay, that would exclude the first 5 branches of evolution. Systematic knowledge of the physical or material world gained through observation and experimentation. This is standard definition of science off the internet today. Science, from Wikipedia. They said, pseudoscience, or your quote here, describes any belief system or methodology which tries to gain legitimacy. That's evolution to a T. This is pseudoscience right here, Mr. Nelson. These trees of life with all their lines connecting everything. I got to get rid of this guy, that's for sure. This is pseudoscience to connect all these things, to say everything is related to a common ancestor. Oh yes, boys and girls, look at this. We drew lines on the paper. Can't you see they're related? That's not observation, that's not experimentation, that is pseudoscience. Promoters of pseudoscience, like you, Mr. Nelson, often adopt the vocabulary of science, and boy, you have got an impressive vocabulary. Congratulations. Describing conjectures as hypotheses, theories, or laws, providing so-called evidence from observation and expert testimonies, or even developing what appears to be mathematical models of their ideas. This is evolution to a T. And you're accusing me of this? Go look in the mirror, son. However, in pseudoscience, there is no honest attempt to follow the scientific method. I agree. Scientific method, use observation, testing, experimentation. Where has anybody ever seen a dog produce a non-dog? Where's the beef? Where's the science? Provide falsifiable predictions or develop double-blind experiments. I'll tell you what, let's do a double-blind experiment. Let's have some people in England breed their dogs and have some people in China breed their dogs, and they won't even know about it. They won't even know about each other. I'll contact both of them and see what they get for an offspring. Although pseudoscience is designed to appear scientific, like evolution, it lacks all of the substance of science, from Rational Wiki a couple hours ago. The fossil record, this is pseudoscience. The fossil record, horse evolution. There is no fossil record, Mr. Nelson. There are fossils, lots and lots of fossils, but it's not a record. None of them talk, none of them have a date stamped on them. Somebody is making up this imaginary pseudoscience progression from one animal changing into another. Yes, let's line up look at all the similarities of the skeletons. Yep, and today, gibbons have babies and they come out to be gibbons. Humans have babies and they turn out to be humans. Your daughter's what, 4? Were you worried at all that she was going to be something other than a human when your wife was expecting? Not the least bit worried? Not the least bit, okay. Okay. Fossil evidence of evolution, they say. Whale missing links. To say a 4-legged creature turned to a whale is pseudoscience. This is fake science. There is no observation, there is no experimentation for any of this. They arranged them in order. Look at this, boys and girls. 4-legged creature slowly learned to swim and became a whale. This is not only pseudoscience, this is stupid. I took a little short nap this afternoon. I get wound up when I take a nap, don't I? This is great. Yeah?
How How do they know what those missing links look like when they've never found them?
They've never, missing links, well, they're missing. That's why you got to send more money so they can do more research to find it. They're continually looking for it. Transitional fossils, evidence of evolution. This is baloney. This is not science. Everybody that's ever observed whales producing babies, the baby comes out and turns into a whale. No exceptions. And they call it hind limb bones on both of them. This is an absolute lie. Those bones are part of the whale's reproductive system. That is pseudoscience. Evidence in the fossil record, like Lucy, evidence of evolution. No fossils count. In an honest court of law, none of the fossils would count. This is a lie, number 2 in my series. This one says, evidence of evolution. The fossil record provides some of the strongest evidence that species evolved over time. First place, no fossil could provide any evidence because you're putting an imaginary interpretation on them. So I can't stress this enough, and I wish you atheists would admit it. No fossils count as evidence for evolution. All you know is it died. You can't prove it had any kids. You sure can't prove it had different kids. And if you did get one that produced a different offspring, who's it going to marry? Don't you have to get 2 at the same place at the same time? And they got to find each other and be interested? You got a whole host of problems. And they got to be the opposite sex? What if you got 2 males at the same time, both evolved? Never mind, San Francisco would love that. This is silly. Evidence for evolution. There is no fossil record. There are bones in the dirt. You don't look back in the fossil record. You look down in the dirt. When I was at the bottom of Grand Canyon, it was the same date as it was when I was at the top. Didn't change at all. Same day. You don't look back through millions of years. We put our interpretation on them. Keep in mind, dead animals do not reproduce or evolve. Fossils can contribute to our understanding of evolution. If you want to get pseudoscience out of the textbooks, Mr. Nelson, start right in the textbooks in your town. Darwin said, if my theory about gradual changes be true, numberless intermediate varieties must have been found. Well, none have been found. 0. Since Darwin, many of these links have been found. This is absolute lie. This is pseudoscience, biology, hope biology sitting over there on the shelf. In the years after Darwin, his advocates hoped to find predictable progressions, and they still hope to find them. In general, these have not been found. Yet the optimism has died hard, and some pure fantasy has crept into textbooks. David Ropp, University of Chicago, a strong believer in evolution. He knows there's no fossil evidence. What creationist scientists are asking for is a simple evidential criteria that would support macroevolution in the fossil record. That would be at least 40 to 50 successive fossil species showing major generic change, macroevolution. Talk Origins doesn't list a fraction of this number. But this isn't an unrealistic number of fossils if the Earth is as old as macroevolutionists maintain. There are gaps in the fossil graveyard, place where there should be intermediate forms, but where there is nothing whatsoever instead. No paleontologist writing in English, French, German denies that this is so. It is simply a fact. Darwin's theory and the fossil record are in conflict. Even if fossils counted, you don't have any that would work. None. According to Stephen Gould of Harvard University, arthropods are the largest animal group. Where did they come from? As Darwin noted in The Origin of Species, the abrupt emergence of arthropods in the fossil record during the Cambrian presents a problem for evolutionary biology. There are no obvious simpler or intermediate forms, either living or in the fossil record. Where did the fish come from? Yet the transition from spineless invertebrates to the first backboned fish is still shrouded in mystery. How about the birds? The evolutionary origin of whales remains controversial among zoologists. The true origin of birds is still up in the air. Cute play on words, but he's honest. They don't know. I can tell you the origin of birds. God made them. Not complicated. How about flowering plants? The origin of angiosperms, an abominable mystery to Darwin, remains so 100 years later and is little better today. It is pseudoscience to say there is evidence for evolution. Both the origin of life and the origin of major groups of animals remains unknown, Grolier Encyclopedia. There's an artist's conception of what the so-called crocofish creature, known as the Tactalic rossi, might have looked like 375 million years ago. Why would it come on land? Who would it marry? What did it eat? Did it learn to breathe first or walk first? Don't you kind of need both at the same time? I mean, if you're going to come out of the water onto land, it looks like you got to have a whole bunch of things solved all simultaneously. Like if your car is going to fly, I think you'd have quite a few changes to go from a car to an airplane, all at the same time. Why would fossils transition, but living ones cannot do it? There's a lot of animals today live in the water. We don't see any of them coming up on land. How many fish we got in our lake out there? We put in thousands of fish.
Evolving into the beaver.
One of them turned into a beaver. Yep, you're right. Okay. Now look, Mr. Nelson, if you find a fossil in the dirt, all you really know is it died, okay? You don't know it had any kids, and you sure don't know it had different kids. So why do you claim bones in the dirt can do something no living animal can do? You're making a pseudo-science claim that animals in the past were able to do something that no animal today can do, because science deals with things we can observe, study, test, demonstrate, experiment. Luther Sunderland asked evolutionists for evidence if they had for their theory. What do you have? The British Museum of Natural History has the largest fossil collection in the world. When the senior paleontologist was asked why he did not show the missing links in his book, he said, "I fully agree with your comments of the lack of evolutionary transitions in my book. If I knew of any, fossil or living, I would certainly have included them. I will lay it on the line. There is not one such fossil." Colin Patterson. There are no fossils that are missing links, no intermediates. There are no missing links. The whole chain is missing. The absence of fossil evidence has been a persistent and nagging problem for evolution. That's Stephen Gould at Harvard University. So now he come up with a dumber idea yet called punctuated equilibrium. He said we don't find any fossils in missing links because maybe a reptile laid an egg and a bird hatched out. Oh, that's brilliant. The first bird hatched from a reptilian egg, Richard Goldschmidt.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Well, who's this bird going to marry? They give two choices to the kids here. Did evolution happen gradually, or did evolution happen with punctuated equilibria? Did it go in jumps, leaps, or gradually? There's a third choice. It didn't happen at all. They don't even give them that choice.
Right.
That's like saying, okay, are elephants red or blue? How about gray? This is not education. This is indoctrination, Soviet style 101. The fossil record shows that an organism evolved through many small changes over time. No, it does not. They're lying. This is pseudoscience, Mr. Nelson. Which theory best describes the organism's evolution, gradualism or punctuated equilibrium? Again, give the kids two false choices. And they're telling them to think critically? When the kid gets done with his class, he's going to think he knows how to think critically. But he doesn't. He knows how to be brainwashed. And maybe that's what happened to you in your school. I don't know. According to the theory of gradualism, new species of horses evolve slowly. So in their mind, there's only two choices. It happened slowly, like Darwin said, or happened quickly, like Gould said. They're not even capable of thinking there's a third choice. It didn't happen at all. And it didn't happen at all. When I debated Dr. Pigliucci at University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I'll take you on anytime, Massimo Pigliucci, give me a call, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. I'll come back to University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and take you on again, and the whole science staff, with half my brain tied behind my back, one eye closed, and 1 foot off the ground. Okay? Just to make it a little more fair. I said, Dr. Pigliucci, you've studied and taught courses on the evolution of plants for 10 years. You have received and spent $650,000 in grant money to study the evolution of plants. What is your best evidence you know of for evolution? He said, the evolution of whales. Just exactly what kind of a plant is a whale, anyway? Okay. He claims the hippo is evidence for evolution because it's in the process of adapting to an aquatic way of life. Hippo likes to go in water, so it's going to turn into a whale or a fish. I like to go in water once in a while. I'm not going to turn into nothing. He claims the flying squirrel is evidence because it has half a wing.
Oh my gosh.
This is a university professor pushing pseudoscience. See, evolution is a shell game. I asked Pigliucci, the expert on plants, where the evidence was. He says it's in the whales. Here's the way it works. The biologist says, oh, the geologist has the evidence. The geologist says, no, the anthropologist has it. It's a shell game. There's a difference, though. They put a P under there. There's no P under any of them. It didn't happen. In an honest court of law, no fossils would be admitted as evidence for evolution. None, and you know it. He said Hovind is a pseudo-science charlatan, a person falsely claiming to have a special knowledge or skill, a fraud. Mr. Nelson, go look in the mirror. This is you, okay? This is called projection. You're projecting what you are, trying to put it on me. A charlatan. Harming with, one making usually showy pretenses to knowledge or ability. A fraud, a faker. One who uses all kinds of big words to hide the fact that they don't have any evidence for evolution. He said, usually they do live debates where you can't check their citations on the fly. It's always been my experience that whenever creationists cite scientific research, it's either not peer-reviewed or they don't actually say what the believer says they did. I'll put a couple links below that to prove that. You did not put the link, so please do, okay? But in this video exchange, debate where every assertion and its source can be examined and evaluated before posting a reply, and you said, consequently, and then you use that word again, won't fly. I don't know why you want to have that stuff in your mouth. I don't want to hold it in my hand, okay? But here's Texas Longhorn. That's a lot of bull right there, okay? The biggest 8'5" horns. How about this one? The world's biggest bull. Now that's a lot of bull too, okay? Gee whiz. You said the Gish Gallop won't work in this format, but Hovind still tried it anyway. Mr. Nelson, you are the one who does the galloping off, running off into 40 different topics using all kinds of words. I got to stop and analyze some of the stuff and say, oh, what did he just say? Hit pause before he runs on and drops another load of that on somebody. Dwayne Gish I knew him, met him a couple times. He was a little short guy, absolute genius, okay? Dwayne Gish was a twin. He was born in White City, Kansas, the youngest of 9 children. He served in World War II, attaining the rank of captain. He was awarded the Bronze Star. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree from University of California, Los Angeles, and a PhD in biochemistry from University of Berkeley. Oh, okay. There's somebody with an accredited degree, Mr. Nelson. You have an associate's degree, I understand, 2 years of college, okay? He worked as an assistant research associate at Berkeley and as an associate professor of Cornell University Medical College, performing biomedical and biochemical research for 18 years, joining the Upjohn Company as a research associate in 1960. So, the first round, let's see, where did I put that? I didn't take. Mr. Gish did 300 debates. I was privileged to listen to a couple of them. He demolished the opponents. And so Talk Origins has an article on their Talk Origins site on how to handle people like Dwayne Gish. They said, if you're going to debate Dwayne Gish, you have to know your audience. You don't want to be boring. Go through anything except the facts, okay? They don't want to deal with the facts. It's all personality stuff. Just read it. I almost put it all in here. I thought this is going to take all night. You said, the first round of this debate began with about 10 minutes of introductory commentary, but only 9.5 minutes of actual debate wherein I answered all of Hovind's questions. No, Mr. Nelson, you did not answer any of my questions, okay? There's a story you might want to read called The Emperor's New Clothes, okay? You think you have answered them. You do not. You've not answered a thing, okay? You know the story, they kept, fraudulent guys took the king's clothes away, okay. However, his response, came in the form of 5 episodes, averaging 42 minutes of his video for every 5 minutes of mine. I am quoting word for word what you said. I haven't skipped a word like you skipped most of my stuff in your so-called response. So Hovind's response came in the form of 5 episodes. Actually, it's 7. You poor guy. Adding up to 3.5 hours of total talk time, during which he accused me of having diarrhea of the mouth. Oh, yes, I did, because you do have diarrhea of the mouth. Now, folks, that was the first minute of his 53-minute rant. Would someone like to transcribe the rest of it for me? I type slow, and I got lots more to do. That took me how long? 30 minutes to cover 1 minute of his... I almost said it. I have a shovel. You have a shovel. Mr. Nelson, that was 1 minute of your speech. You are the pseudo-scientist par excellence. You are really, really good at it. How do I shut this thing off? Here, oh, there's my mouse. Okay, right there. So if somebody would like to type up the next minute or two word, I don't miss a single word he says, okay? I may have to bleep out a few, but I'd be honored to send it. How would they send it to me? Nick, email it to secretary@drdino.com. I get 1,000 email a week, and so I can't keep up. But anyway, we'll do minute number 2 later, unless, Mr. Nelson, you'd like to say, I surrender, I'm sorry, you're right, Hovind, leave me alone, quit picking on me, quit exposing me, and I'll leave you alone. I got other things to do, plenty more to do, okay? You're a nuisance, okay? You're a gnat flying around, okay? Okay, but I will answer the whole thing if you insist. I will, and I'm not. And you later on in the next minute said Hovind has to limit it down to less time. No, it takes 37 minutes to undo 1 minute of your gallop, your rant, your raw rant. Okay, notice the smile. Okay, all right. Q&A, real quick. A couple of questions. Yeah, one. Okay. Well, maybe two. Hey, I came across some info for you guys. Would the nuclear weapons released in Asia have affected carbon-14? I think I answered that one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but yes, they would, okay? And that's why they've done, try to figure out what was the carbon-14 in the past, in the atmosphere. I don't know how you can find something like that. But carbon-14 is dated based on several obvious assumptions that wouldn't hold up 2 seconds in an honest court of law. Get video 7 about a lot of stuff on there, or another whole hour video I did. Or is that 2 hours, I think? Just on carbon dating and the problems with it. $10 from our ministry, drdino.com. Okay, this one looks familiar too. Was Paul a false apostle? No, Robert. No, Apostle Paul wrote 13 books, maybe 14 if you count Hebrews in our New Testament. Definitely a great man of God. Do you believe Mokele Mbembe exists? I do indeed. That's the creature that they call Mokele Mbembe. Looks like this guy I just threw down over here. In Congo, Africa, if you show this to the natives there, they'll say, oh yeah, that's Mokele Mbembe. He's not friendly. Don't get close. Active at night, very rarely seen. Just like we have coyotes on this property.
Mm-hmm. Never see them.
Never see them, do you?
Hear them.
And there's how many people living here?
Same with armadillo.
Same, yeah. Same as the armadillo. Okay. So yes, I do believe Mokele Mbembe exists. If the natives in Africa claimed they killed one and ate it back in the early 60s or somewhere. Okay. How does the fact that humans are the only intelligent species in the world influence theory of evolution? Doesn't that mathematically disprove forming of life by random coincidence? Well, there certainly seems to be a great difference with human intelligence unless you get into start believing in evolution. Then it drops to 0. Okay. But yeah, where is the intermediate intelligence? You know, they're going to say, well, the dolphin or the elephant has intelligence. Nothing similar to humans. Nothing similar. No creature in the world writes books, keeps records, does. There are thousands of things humans do that no other animal does. None. We are miles apart. Okay, Sharon writes in. Have you seen the article about the mysterious creature washed up in Roskillie Beach in Wales? Wonder what your thoughts are. Could it be a Chronosaurus? Haven't seen that. I have to check that out. There's a picture of it here. Okay, Julie, can you zoom in on that? That's the creature that washed up on the beach in Wales. I'll have to check that article out. I don't know what it was.
Wow.
Now see, from the Christian perspective, it's simple. Dinosaurs always lived with man. The world's 6,000 years old. I used to say only 6,000. 6,000 is a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vikings were running around 1,000 years ago. Columbus was trying to find this place 500 years ago. Our country just started. You know, the Revolutionary War, 240 years ago? 6,000 is a long time. Okay, but dinosaurs were big lizards with Adam and Eve. Noah took them on the ark. They've always lived with man. There could be some still alive. I don't know. As the human population expands, they're probably getting killed off or dying off or being crowded out of their habitat. That's enough. Let's quit. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am?
Can you do the dinosaur library?
Oh, yes. For Christmas, if you want to get something for some friends of yours or for your kids or for some neighbors' kids that try to influence somebody for the Lord, we thought of a good gift we could give. I'm going to look that side up. We have a lot of books for children. dinosaurs, all kinds of books for children. This would be a great instant library to give some kid that would keep them busy for a long time, okay? And this is the whole thing for 75 bucks?
No, there's two separate ones.
Two separate ones.
There's
Oh, two separate ones. Gee whiz.
Dinosaur Library and
This one, Teenage Dinosaur Library, 70 bucks.
$75.
And this one is
sorry, that one's
children's, all the children's books and the video. You want to do something for Christmas, you might give somebody who's not saved, a cousin, neighbor, grandchild or something. Influence, give something that'll make a difference other than a new bicycle. No, I'm not against bicycles, but for heaven's sake, make your gifts have some eternal significance to them. Would be my suggestion. Thank you for reminding me. See you tomorrow, and have a good Thanksgiving. Come join us. And Mr. Nelson, anytime. Okay, bye.